principles. You need to share this information in a proper way to demonstrate how this progress is coming through. And for every communicating signature on Prime, when you have your communicating status and a green light, let's say that you must submit this commitment letter signed by the high executive of the organization. You need to describe your practical actions. You need to demonstrate and assess your outcomes, and you have to demonstrate key and some specific objectives. So this is the sharing information on progress definition that we had. And this is how Prime was operating in the past, let's say, since Prime was created since 2008. But in 2019, 2020, we start some discussions and conversations on how to improve this reporting process, how to better demonstrate our impact through the society, how to demonstrate the impact that Prime is generating as a community, but also how to facilitate the reporting process for our signatories. As you know, we have different sizes of schools from different regions, different capacities, different resources. And we know and we are aware that reporting takes some time from school. It needs some time. It needs some. We need to assign someone to do it. We need to collaborate between different areas. We need to collect data. We need to prepare this document that is really important to demonstrate the commitment. But the SIP, let's call it the SIP 1.0, in the format that we have until now, the SIP is based in a PDF report. So when we talk about data, this is unstructured data, because every school creates like its own report, creates its own narrative, creates its own, let's say, PDF. So that's why we have these multitudes of perspectives. On the other hand, we had a lot of authenticity, because every school can print their own DNA in their SIP report, can demonstrate through photos, narrative, and et cetera, et cetera. We have the SIP awards, for example. So it's also a way for school to demonstrate how they are connected with Prime, how how Prime matters in their own school, and how authentic they are in integrating those principles. But thinking about the future and thinking about the moment that society is passing through, it's really important for us to be more transparent. It's really important for us to have more clear data of our impact. Prime is now a different network that we are 15 years ago. We are bigger, we have more impact, we have amazing network in different countries and different realities. So for us as a community, as an institution, it's really important to demonstrate our impact. And the way that we have to demonstrate that is through the SIP report. We need to understand and to see what our signatories are doing, how they are integrating Prime principles, how they are embedding sustainability, how they are collaborating through the SDGs. And for doing that, in the site that we are right now, we need to have a really important and mechanism for doing that in a structured way. That's why we decided to transition for the SIP 2.0. So the moment that we are passing now, the transition that we're about to start, for me, it's a cultural transformation for Prime. So it's a new area of collaboration, of dissemination, of demonstrating impact. So the SIP 2.0 now we have some specific change. So as you already received the past days our communication about the process, we're now passing for universal submission period. So every year in a specific period of the year, that would be from March to June, every Prime signatory will need to submit their SIP report. For this year, as is a transition year, as we're just starting this process, this period will be extended until August. But every year we have a universal submission period that every school will submit. This will help us, by the end of this period, arrive with some important insights, interesting reports, and etc., and to have a better understanding of our community. And also for us as Secretariat, it will be a better way to offer different possibilities, different solutions, and to support our community development. Another important difference is that now we have more structured data. The SIP 2.0 is composed by a questionnaire, objects, and narratives. And I will talk a little bit about this later on today. We now have a clear alignment with prime principles. And this is also important to say because since the SIP reports, the reporting process were created, we hear from the community what we mean about the specific principles, how integrate a specific principle in their school, like in their curriculum, their research, and the partnership, because it was really aspirational. But now, with this connection and this clear alignment that we're building to the prime principles, it will be easier for the school to understand how to embed prime principles. This will be useful for the school also to understand what we mean when we talk about the specific principles. So we have this clear alignment. It will be a tool for accountability, for tracking of progress, but also it will be it's a self-report. So it's also a space for the school to have like a diagnosis to understand how they are integrating prime principles and how they can better integrate prime principles thinking about the future. And of course, we may have global and regional annual analysis. This will also be important, not just for the secretary, but also for the chapter chairs to better support their community development and their signatories and the growth in their own regions. Moving forward, talking about the process itself. So as you know, we had a SIP committee that worked for almost 2 years, reflecting on this process, trying to identify core principles for this new reporting logic. And last year, 2023, June 2023, during Prime Global Forum, we launched questionnaire, like a set of questions that was an outcome and an deliverable from the SIP committee after pass through different different rounds of consultations through our community that were like validated at different levels. This was launched June 2023, and from that period until now, we passed it through like a different process. First thing was because after that, we had like the task force that worked on the principles refresh. And this is an important moment also for the SIP reporting because we wanted to connect the questions and the questionnaire. We wanted to connect it with the new principles, the new 7 principles. So this process was completed last year. After that, and at the same time, I think it was like a parallel work, the Prime Commons team, the digital work that we had on Prime on the background also grew a lot. So we worked to develop the Prime Commons, this digital space, the space where the SIP 2.0 will be integrated, the space that you can use to share your stories, your narratives, and also do your report. So this was also a parallel process that we passed through it. But I think an important and a fundamental piece from June 2023 until now was really this reflection on the questionnaire and the connection of the questions and the questionnaire in the SIP 2.0 with prime principles, with the refreshed prime principles. So we invited Tima Bansal, that is like a chair of Prime Advisory Board. She invited a group of experts. Wilfred Minhader was chair of the SIP committee. Alex Hovet is also a member of the board and is from North Rumba University. He was also a SIP early adopter. Priya Sharma from Monash University, also chapter chair and TPC member, and Robert Cluster from Ivy Business School. They all went together to look through the question, look to the SIP 2.0, look to the objects and to narratives to connect it to the prime principles, to the refreshed prime principles. Tima Bansal was the lead of the principles task force. So she had this understanding about the new principles, about the process that the refreshed principles, about the consultations, etc. So she had this important knowledge, and she led this work of connecting the refreshed principles to the questions and the objects and narratives. And also a different exercise that we did was to reflect again on the questions. If you saw the past version that we launched in June last year, we had a set of 33 questions plus objects plus narrative. So it was like a bigger questionnaire. And now we are working in a more objective questionnaire. So we reflect a little bit and we start to discuss how to better frame the questions, how to better frame the way that we ask the schools, the type of information that we are to ask the school. But also we think a lot on the outcomes, like how can we better use the data, the information, and the time that institution is putting and answer the questions and provide the objects and the narratives. How can we better use this to create useful information, to create useful reports, to create useful insights for the secretariat, for the community, for the chapter chairs, and for all different stakeholders. So this was the process that we passed through since June last year. And then we arrived at to this CIP 2.0 report that are now available on our website and maybe received through your communications channels. That is a reduced version, but reduced in, let's say, number of questions, objects, and narratives, but it's really rich in information and usability. So we are really confident that this set of questions, the set of objects and narratives will be used for the community, and that will support our growth, and also will support your institutional journey when you think about PRIME, when you think about connecting PRIME principles, and thinking about sustainability, responsibility, and to support the SDGs. Moving forward, and again, using the chat and also the Q&A session, because this will help us in the end, but also I can reach to your question as we go. I have some colleagues around that are helping me to reply you back. But moving forward, and here I think it's a fundamental piece of our conversation today, is to bring on a glossary and some related terms of this CIP 2.0 report. This is important because this will help you to better prepare to collect the data, to prepare the information, and to better understand what we want from you as a signatory and which kind of information you need to share. So first, I would like to bring some PRIME-related terms. So we have three important terms that you see in the questionnaire, and it's really important to clarify because this support this is included in a bunch of questions and a bunch of objects and etc. So it's important for you to have for us to have a common understanding about the topics. First one is responsibility. If you read again the past version of the questionnaire that we made available in June 2023, you will see that we had different terms that are related to this responsibility, to responsible management education, etc. So we've been talking about sustainability topic, PRIME-related topic, responsible management, ethics, etc., etc. For this version, we unified the concept. So when we talk about responsibility, we're talking about the intentions to include the broadest definition of corporate responsibility, including, let's say, sustainability, including ethics, including community, etc., etc. But you will see in the questions, you will see in the narratives and the objects that we're using the word responsibility or responsible management education. But when we use this word, we mean all the context, all the definitions that include corporate responsibility, sustainability, community, SDGs, and etc. But we're using the word responsibility for the questions. The second piece is when we talk about course, a definition of course for us is a set of classes with a descriptive name governed by a faculty member for which students receive credits. So it needs to be a set of classes. The classes need to be combined. We need to have some description. need to be governed by a faculty member, and the students need to receive credit for it. And the way that the student receive credit, it could vary by region, could be through evaluations, could be through presence, could be through group work, etc. So this is not relevant for this concept, but it's important for you to understand that when we talk about course, it's the set of classes. We need to have some description of it and need to be governed by a faculty member. And the third point is relating to the institution and prime signatory. Every time that we talk about institution in the CIP 2.0, we're talking about the unit that is governed by the individual who signed the membership of prime. So when we talk about unit, we have different cases. Could be like the business school, could be the faculty of administration, it could be even the university, etc. So this varies case by case, but it's important to understand that when we talk about institution on the CIP 2.0, we're talking about the unit that is a prime signatory. You will also see that in some cases we talk about a parent organization, especially when we talk about some specific targets, when we talk about some specific policies, etc. Because in some cases, the business school is a prime signatory, but they are under the policies from the parent institution that may be the university, etc., etc. So you can always refer to that. But when we talk about institution, we're talking about the unit or institution that is governed by the individual who signed the membership to prime. Maybe the dean, maybe the president, etc., etc. So those three concepts are really core, and this is like the starting point before you go to the CIP 2.0 reporting framework. Okay. Second set of definitions that we have here is the CIP 2.0 related terms. So for me, this is the triad of the CIP 2.0. The initial piece is the questionnaire. So the first thing that you will see will be the set of questions that are required to be answered as part of the CIP reporting process. The questions, again, are based on the institution that's signed to prime, the unit that's signed to prime, and demonstrate the commitment to the principles for responsible management education. So this is the set of questions. To support the questionnaire, we have objects and we have narratives. When we talk about objects, we're talking about some supporting materials, supporting evidence to the responses that you're putting on the questionnaire. So this will include, let's say, statements. This will include different policies. This will include different events, learning objects, public media, etc., etc. So everything, every object, everything that you put to support your answer on the questionnaire can be like an object. I will talk about the objects in a couple of minutes. And then we have the narratives. The narratives, the aim of a narrative is to also to provide and to add more evidence and to support the questionnaire. But for me, the narrative is a fundamental piece of authenticity. It helps you as an institution to bring the context, to share your stories, to share your case, or to share some inspirational things that could also inspire other schools, other institutions that can demonstrate your context, the region that you are, the context that your school is integrated, is distinct story or a real life example or a historical event that are related to your educational objectives, etc., etc. So the narratives, it's also a way to tell to prime and tell to other schools like who your institution are. So you can bring additional context to the questions and also to the objects that you're sharing here. So again, when we talk about objects, we have 5 different kinds of objects that you find on the questionnaire. First one is the statement. The statement is a formal written communication or even a document developed by the higher education institution. And the statement could be the letter. So, of course, you still need to provide the letter of commitment in crime, but also could be a mission statement, a purpose statement, or a strategy, etc., etc. Of course, everything that is really open to public and also that are connected to crime and all the responsibility topics. The second object type is the policy. The policy, and it's important to say, it's always an official written statement that brings principles, guidelines, or different procedures that will govern and to support specific areas of the institution. So a policy is something that is official. And again, here we like to bring to you that every information that we ask you to share, you can share the information that is, you need to share the information that is public. You don't need to share nothing that is, let's say, confidential or just for internal use, etc., etc. But please note that this is like a sharing platform, so you can share everything that is public. But majority of policies, especially in the topics that we're asking, probably are public, so are shared for different stakeholders. So this is like what we understand. And the idea of having policies, it's also to provide evidence on the questions and the replies that you give to the questions that we're asking on the CIP 2.0. The third piece are the event. And this could be virtual, in-person, hybrid events that bring the topics related to crime, that exchange knowledge, that inspire a different audience. So you can also bring the information about the events. Could be like a link, could be like a flyer, could be a PDF, and etc. We have the learning objects. So when we talk about the learning objects, we're talking about educational materials, could be course syllabi, could be a book, could be video, articles, or different productions, and etc. And the last object type that you will find would be the public media. So digital or traditional media available to the general public. Again, could be a PDF, could be a link. I know some institutions, for example, have sustainability report, have CSR reports, etc. You can also share those information here on the CIP 2.0 platform. Okay. Let me take a look on the questions. If we have here something on the topic that I just mentioned. So we have here a question that mentioned that there can be a disconnect where the institution is the school, but some of the data asked is at a university level. Yes, so in some cases, and some questions you can mention, you can describe if a policy, if the information is related to the business school, or if this is related to the university or the parenting institution. So that's why the objects and also the narratives can support on it. It's important to say that all the information will not be isolated. Like the intelligence behind PRME Commons will help us to combine all the information that you share. So we can see if you share some information that is related to your university or if your parent institution, we will know that and we will understand that through the analysis because of the intelligence and because of the digital archetype and the digital structure that is being developed through PRME Commons. But yeah, so if you have policies that are related to your university or to your parent institution, or if you have a specific targets, etc., you can always mention that as you report, as you prepare your CIP 2.0 reports. Okay, so institutions that use it to submit a full report, is the new questionnaire now enough? Yes, so this is a transition that we're passing through. Like the CIP 2.0 will be the process that the signatory will need to pass, the report, the information that the institution will need to provide to be compliant to PRME. Of course, if your school already do, let's say, a sustainability report, if your school do, as I said, a CSR report, or if you want to do like a PDF SIP report to share to different stakeholders, etc., you can go for it. But every signatory will need to fill out the SIP 2.0 process, like to answer the questions and to provide the objects and narratives and etc. What I heard is that it's that some schools will use this as a guide to provide and to create, let's say, a sustainability report or a different report to share to different stakeholders. Our intention in the future, as we grow with PRME Commons, is to make available to every school. We will have your institutional profile, but in the future, the intention is for you to download the document and create like a comprehensive design and etc. And after you finish your questionnaire, you can download all the information in a good and beautiful PDF report that you can share to your different stakeholders. So this is on the plan for the PRME Commons. For the moment that we are right now, we're just having this data collection process. But the intention for the future is to have, let's say, this beautiful document that you can share with different stakeholders, etc., etc. Okay, so the only reporting mechanism that the signatory we need to do, the only entry point for sharing information will be the SIP 2.0. So for being a compliant PRME signatory, for being a communicating signatory, one, you need to pay the PRME membership fee, and second, go through the SIP 2.0 process with PRME Commons. The university is in charge of the business school. However, the dean of the business school signs the SIP. Yeah. So in this case, so we have a question here. The university is in charge of the business school. However, the dean of the business school signs off the SIPs. How does this work? Yeah, so the questions here are related to institution that is committed to PRME, that signs to PRME. So here, in our case, we're talking about the business school. If you have policies, if you have targets that are from the university, but affects your institution, your signatory, you can mention the policies and the targets of the university. So as I said, in the questions we have this definition, and we have space for this differentiation. I will go through the questions later on, so I think we'll be clear. Okay, so let's go through the questions to bring a little bit more clarity on it. Let me change screens. Just a sec. So we can have a comprehensive view of the questions. So this is the document that we shared, that is available on the SIP 2.0 website that was already shared here on the chat. So we have here the glossary of terms that I already mentioned here earlier today. And here we have an overview about the SIP 2.0. So here you have a better understanding about what we're asking for a specific principle for each and every principle on PRME. It's important for you and our intention to share this document 1 month in advance of the launch of PRME Commons. It's because you can get familiar to it, you can start to mobilize different areas of your institution, of your business school, of your university, etc. And it's try to really understand the logic that we want to collect and the logic that we're passing through it. So we have here the 7 refreshed principles. So we see here that for every principle, we have some questions, we have some objects, and we have some narratives. In some principles, we have more than others. But on this screen, one thing that I would like to highlight, for example, I spoke before about the narratives and demonstrating that the narratives is the space where we want to, learn from an institution, to really understand your context, to really hear your story, and to really see how can your institution inspire others. And you see, for example, in the principal teach, in the principal partner, and principal research, we have a larger number of narratives, especially because on those principles, the context is really important. The stories, the cases, and the initiative that you have is really important. So it's really important for us to understand more about your school, about your institution, and also how to serve as an inspiration to others. So for example, when we talk about teach, for us, it's really important to understand how do you teach, like what is the innovations that you have inside your classroom, how you work with your faculty, how you transmit the how you connect the SDGs topics, sustainability, responsibility topics in the way that you teach, in the way that you work with your faculty. Or when we talk about research, if you have any research awards, how you do that, how you engage your faculty in topics related to Prime, in topics related to the SDGs. When we talk about partnerships, again, how you connect with business sector, how you connect with your different stakeholders, how you connect with your alumni, and etc. So on this overview, you can have a census about on the type of questions and information that need to be shared on this new logic. Going through the questions, so for principal propose, we have some specific objects that need to be shared. So for example, the letter of the most senior officer, dean, or head committing to prime principle. So this is something that you already do at the moment. So we continue to do. It's really important to reinforce prime commitment to it. But you also have a space to share some mission, vision, strategy, or purpose that are related to prime, principles integration. When we go to the questionnaire, our questions are really to understand how prime is integrated at your university, at your institution, at your business school. Really, if prime is institutionalized, for example, if you have someone at your institution that is responsible for RME, or if this is under the highest level leadership, if there's a team, if there's like a specific area, if have like an individual staff, if you have students doing it, or different question if you have an organized entity, if you have a center, if you have an institute, if you have an academic department that is looking to RME topics that are connected to prime, and important to note that are governed by faculty members, for example. And you always have a space to say that, no, I don't. No, this works in a different way, or we organize it in a different format. So again, this is the possibilities that Prime Commons will give to you. Like we're not just looking to the questions, we're also looking to the objects and also to the narratives. So we have space to demonstrate that. Again, when we go to the next principle, when we talk about values, we have a space to bring the names, positions, email address of all people responsible and accountable for RME at the Prime Signatory member. And again, for us as a secretariat, it's really important to understand like all the different stakeholders that are connected to the topics in your institution, because we can, again, enhance our communication. We can make direct communication for those specific stakeholders. We can support you, for example, if you are as the prime focal point at your institution, we can help you to connect and to integrate and to collaborate with other colleagues on it. So this is also a way to, I think for me, again, as I said in the beginning, doing SIP reports at my institution in the past, it was a really lonely exercise because you do the process, you engage with different areas, of course, but it's still you doing that. What the SIP 2.0, what the Prime Commons will brings is the opportunity for you to share the reporting with other colleagues. So it will be a collaborative exercise, and I will talk a little bit about this later on today. When we go to principle teach, for example, the questions are related to the way that we teach, the way that we transform our learning environments, the way that we integrate responsible management concepts into our curriculum, into our pedagogical approach. So you see that the questions are really asking in different levels. So for example, if you involve to discuss RME topics such as sustainability, SDGs, ethics, corporate responsibility, etc. If you bring guest speakers to your classroom, if you showcase at events, if you have your faculty engaged on it, if you have specific courses related to the topic, if you have specific degrees related to the topic, if you have some specific pedagogical approach to connect those topics, you have a specific pedagogical innovations, or if you have this in a transversal way at your institution. So you have a space not just to answer the question, such as one, for example, but also to bring different objects to bring more context to it. So you can bring example of guest speakers, you can share your event links, you can share your event photos, you can bring your course syllabi, you can bring the topics that you work in your courses. You can also describe the degree programs that you have. You can also describe your pedagogical approach. You can also describe the way RME are integrating in all educational levels. So it will be a really open space for you to share. Of course, we have some questions, but the questions will open to the objects, will open to the narratives. So you have the possibility to clarify and to demonstrate more about your context, about your story, and be more authentic on it. When we go to the research piece, it works the same way. The way that research is integrated to your institution, the way that your institution approach responsible management related topics in what you research, in the research content specifically. So for example, here, if you have research seminar related to the topics, if you have a conference related to the topics, if you have courses in a PhD level, if your faculty members need to report their responsibility related research publications, if they report their SDGs related publications on it, if you have specific research funding for it, if you have research awards for it, or for those topics, or different kinds of support that you may have. Again, the questions here doesn't have the intention to rank or to evaluate your institution, because this is a self-reporting process. It's a self-evaluation process. So our intention here is for you to get some inspiration for what you do, to get some to create some reflexive moments at your institution to see what else you can do, how can you better implement. But again, our role as Prime is not to rank, and is also not to compare institution. It's really to learn and to inspire others on it. And again, here we have the questions, but we also have a space for objects where you can share your events, your different activities, your conference that you have that are related to research and to responsibility topics, your course syllabi, your learning goals. You can also describe the research funding that you may have. You describe the research awards that you may have. You can describe other initiatives that you have that are related to it. So again, as I said, have questions, but it opens for you to share objects, and also opens for you to share narratives. When we go to partner, again, we follow the same logic, and I think here it's also important to say that we try to use as much as we could the description of the principle on the questions. So you see here, for example, principal partner. We engage people from business, government, civil society, and academia to advance responsible and accountable management, education, and practice. And when you look to the question, it's really that we're asking, like how you do that. And again, you can do that in different levels. You can do through like informing, that is knowledge dissemination, translation. You can do through dialogue, by bilateral or multilateral conversation. You can do through problem solving. You can do through actions. You can do through governance, like having a formal structure to do with that, some formalized rules on it. So here you have also space to share the different ways that you collaborate with different stakeholders and really tell your story and demonstrate that through your narratives. But also share all the different associations, different organizations that you are connected, if you're accredited, if you're ranked, or if you're a member of some specific institutions. Of course, here we have some of the institutions that are under prime institutional ecosystem, such are different partners such as ASSP, Siemens. Okay, moving forward, we have principle practicing. We have accountable management principles in our own governance and operations. And here is really related to operational practices. This principle, but also the questions that we have here, for us, a fundamental piece to connect with UNGC, for example, with the SDG goals, etc. In the way that our institution walks the talk, what we teach to our students. So you see that we're asking if you have you or your parent institution. So as I said before here, for example, it's a case that maybe your parent institution is the one that have policies related to greenhouse gas emissions. So you can share your parent institution or the university policy on it. Or if this is also, it's just related to the business school, etc. So this is the space where you can demonstrate that. But of course, in some cases, those initiatives or those practices are not formalized in a policy format. So you will also have a space to share how you work with those topics on it. If it's not through the official document, an official policy could be through the like an organic relationship, organic policies, organic practices, and etc. etc. Or even if you have aspiration, if you have targets on it, you will see that the topics are related to environmental issues. So when we talk about greenhouse gas emissions and water, building efficiency, etc., but also on social issues, when we talk about equity, diversity, and inclusion on employee, that also includes staff member, that includes faculty member, but also student equity, diversity, and inclusion. Travel, faculty, student, local staff, transportation are also included on this organizational practice session. Oops. On it, again, we have the objects, when we have policies on greenhouses, water, building, local staff, transportation. So you have the space for sharing the objects or the policies that you may have on the topics. But when we go to the narratives, you will also have a space to share the other ways that you're connecting those topics, the other ways that you're dealing with the topics at your institution and in your own context. And coming to the end on the questions, principle share. We share our successes and failures with each other to enable collective learning and best live our common values and purpose. Of course, as you go through the CIP 2.0, sharing, reporting your progress, we're also doing the principle share, like you're already doing that. But here on the question, we are also asking if you share all your responsibility, practices, and initiatives with different stakeholders. Like if this is on your school website, you have a sustainability report, you have a multi-stakeholder panel, or if you just share your successes, or if you just share in your internal channels, like internal communication strategy, or if you don't do that, if not yet. So, and then when we go to the objects, we're asking if you have a website of disclosure of this performance. That could be public media, or it could be a website. It can also be a different document, a different way that you share. So we went through the questions. Yeah, so the record will be available on the SIP 2.0 web page. Yeah, and I really advise you, if you want to have more info about the previous context of the SIP report revision process, like the creation of the SIP committee, etc., and the creation of the PRME Commons, and all the logic behind that, we have other webinars that are available. So we can go through it and to watch the recordings and etc. etc. Let's see here more questions that I have. Is the final questionnaire that we all should be using for the SIP 2.0? Exactly. This questionnaire is the questionnaire that will be inside PRME Commons. I will show now you a sneak peek of the PRME Commons, where you can have a better understanding on how this will be demonstrated to you. Okay, so this is like a preview only. So this is subject to change until we launch by the end of March. So as you go through your user on PRME Commons, you will see this page where demonstrate the overview of the SIP 2.0 report, divided by principles, by the 7 principles. And when you go to every principle, you see the space to provide information. So letter from the most senior office, and then you can add, remove the objects that I mentioned to you. You can come and you can go in and go out wherever you want during the submission period, of course. So you can start to fill it today and then go back like a week later or a month later. You can share with your colleagues and etc. So this will be open for the institution. You have the status of progression in your screen, your user screen. So here, for example, when you're describing the questions and the way that you can add the objects, where you can remove the object, so you can add a title, you can have a description of it. Here is the page where you can add the narrative, so you have an author view and also a reader view. You can invite collaborators for it. So this is also a good functionality. So you can be the owner of the narrative, but you can also add other actors at your own university that are part of this narrative. So for example, if you are describing, I don't know, like a partnership activity with a business, so you can add all the contributors for this initiative, all the faculty that were engaged, so you can give credit to everyone on it. And then you'll be really filling up the spaces. So you can bring the title, you can describe the purpose of this partnership. Here in the example that I'm bringing to you, the impact generated by this narrative. You can also add different language, different audience, if this information will be public, if the information is public, if this is a private information, or if this is information for our institution, if this is a global narrative, if this is just a local narrative, the topics and the subjects that are related to it, the date range of this narrative. So it will be all available for you. You can always save also as a draft until you publish it. Another fundamental piece here, it's because on the PRME Commons, you will have all your report history. So you can go back, let's say, to next year, you can go back to 2024 to see what you reported. In 2027, you can go back to 2024, 2025, 2026 to see what you're reporting on it. So it's also a way for you to see how you grow in this process, how you evolve in integration of Prime, how your institutional journey was inside Prime. So this is also a way to have that. And final and fundamental piece of Prime Commons, it's again that you can assign people to provide answers to the question. So for example, you can assign the head of faculty if you want to provide information about faculty. You can assign the head of the research department to provide information that you share. Of course, in the end, we just have one person that will be the person that will say, okay, the report is ready to be submitted. But during the period, during the submission period, you can share you can add credentials from different person on the Prime Commons to provide information and data. And of course, by the end, the final submission will be under the Prime contact point or under the dean's responsibility, right? Let me go back to my screen so we can talk about the next steps and then go to the questions that you have here. So next steps from now until March. As I said, you probably received some communication from us describing the process that we're starting now. But important piece, ensure your institution contact information is up to date. So go through your Prime profile, your credentials, take a look on it to see if it's everything okay. Of course, if you have any issues with that, and if you cannot manage for doing that, please reach out to us at info@unprime.org. Probably have this information on the chat in a sec. You can also, we suggest you to join the Prime Commons launch walkthrough. So on the 28th of March, we're launching the platform officially, and we will have 2 sessions where you can go and to understand more about the Prime Commons, more about how to provide the data and information, how to navigate through the pages, how to create your credentials, how to assign different people, etc. So we're having 2 different time zones on 28th of March. So again, if you go on the CIP 2.0 website, you have there the date and also the time, so you can subscribe to join the session. Again, it will be really important for you to understand how to navigate on the platform. And as I said, all the previous sessions will be recorded and available on the CIP 2.0 website. The third point is bookmark the CIP readiness webpage that was already shared here in the chat. Bookmark it because we are always sharing news and the agenda for the next webinars. We will have webinars during all the submission period to support our signatories. We have Q&A sessions. We have open hour meetings, so you can reach out to us to support you during this process. We understand that this is a transition period. So we're here to support this transition between our signatories. We understand that 2024 and 2025, it's a period of learning from the platform, learning from the process, learning from the signatory. So we're building this together, and all feedbacks and all the informations, all the exchanges that we may have during this process will be really valuable to the development of the CIP 2.0 and the Prime Commons. Okay, everyone. Now we have a time for a Q&A session. Let me just share here on the chat the web page so we can bookmark it. So I'm going through the questions here. Okay, so think yes, define questionnaire. There's a section, SIP report assessment, who is assessing what to reach standards. We are not assessing, we're not evaluating the answers of the schools. This is like a self-reporting tool. It's an informative tool. It's not a tool for rank or for evaluate or signatories. So this information is to serve the community. So we're not assessing, we're not ranking the signatories. Yes, so yeah, we have Sophie here that deals with the engagement that is also answer the questions. So you will receive in the next few days some information relating to the extension period. As I said, the first universal submission period will start in March, 28th of March, as soon as we have access to the Prime Commons, and will last until end of August. So during this period, you can submit your SIP 2.0. If your SIP report is due this period, or if your SIP report it's about to, for example, is due in February 2024, or if you're late with your SIP report, you can wait to report under the SIP 2.0 logic. As I said, this will be the only entry point for reporting to Prime. You can always bring different reports that you have as an object or as a narrative and etc. But the SIP 2.0 will be the only entry point for reporting and for sharing the information to Prime, to demonstrate to Prime how you're integrating the Prime principles, okay? So yes, a question here. So you can invite different people to Prime Commons. So you have, for example, the Prime contact point will be the first one to receive the access to Prime Commons. And then this person will be the, let's say, the administration can assign different people to collaborate on the reporting process. But as I said, just one person, the administration will be the one responsible to submit all the answers before like, so you can revise that and etc. etc. It's possible to print the progress and fill out the information. Every time you join the Prime Commons, you will have your filling status. So you see what you already replied, what you didn't reply. So it's always open until the end of submission period. This information will be open and available there. So your institution can go there, join the platform, and take a look on it. Let's see if I have one here about the recording. How exhaustive do we have to report? Teaching research, large faculty of economics, plus 6,000 students, big stats to list guest speakers, course content, research of staff, etc., etc. Of course, we don't want to give more work for an institution. We see this as value for you, like to get and to list the impact that you have on the events and research and etc. etc. You can just upload all the information that you have. As I said, we're not assessing, we're not evaluating. So you can share, for example, the topics and the events and contexts that you think are more relevant to be shared. As I said, the Prime Commons platform is not a platform to rank and to evaluate. So we're not looking to the volume of information that the institution share, but the quality of the information that is shared. So I advise it in cases that you may have, let's say, too many courses that are related to responsibility or like a lot of research related to it, or like 100 events related to the topic. My suggestion is just to share the information, the links, etc., of the most relevant on it, because this is to serve for inspiration. So this is also an exercise, and so it's my suggestion for the schools that have a lot of information, like a lot of events related to the topic. Share those who are most important, that are most relevant to the Prime context, through the SDGs and to sustainability, etc., etc. But again, our intention is not to give more work. Our intention is to facilitate the work. That's why we have questions, we have the objects, we have the narratives. But again, you can share the information that you think there is most valuable, that you think is most relevant on it. We're not there to evaluate. We're not there to rank these schools based on it, okay? Yeah. So schools that joined it some reading questions here that are based in the way that you joined Prime Signatory, that you joined as Prime. Those who joined it last year, for example, we advise you to get familiar with the platform, get familiar with the questions, and etc., and report if you want. But for those who joined last year, the reporting will be mandatory in 2025, as was in the past, of course. But we suggest everyone go to the platform, navigate through that, provide information that that you already have available, and etc., because in 2025 this will be mandatory for everyone, and then our non-communicating status, this listing, etc., will start to be effective by the end of 2025, beginning of 2026. Okay. Guidance on the principle of sharing. Can have a website and communicate this kind of things to your institution. Yeah, on the principle of sharing, as I said, you're just sharing things that are public. So the question asks if the information is transparent and available for all stakeholders. So you can put the website there. If the information is not public and available for the stakeholders, you can just mark this question and don't share the link. So for example, the question asks, if you share with full transparency, school website, sustainability report will stakeholder panel. If you share with limited transparency or just internal channels, etc., or not yet. An important piece, everyone, the narratives or the objects will just open if you mark that you have something to share. If you mark no, I don't, or no, this is not applicable, etc., the objects, the narrative space will not open for you. So don't worry about that. So for example, if you mention that some information is not public to be shared or is just available at the internal channels, the narrative or the object piece will not be open to it. So you don't need to worry about those specific topics if it's not applicable to your reality. Yes. So submission period for 2024 is from March 2024, end of March 2024 until end of August 2024. From 2025 onwards will be from March to June, and then always the end of June. Yes, so the questionnaire will be available. The SIP 2.0 will be available end of March, March 28th. As I said, we have like a session, PRME Commons session on March 28th in 2 different time zones where you can go get familiar with the platform. And from that day, the platform will be available. So the contact point of institution will receive the credentials to log in. Then you can share and you can assign different people to navigate through the platform, okay? Also, I think as shared on the chat, we have a Q&A session on the SIP 2.0 website, shared by Cheyenne on the chat. There you find different questions that we already replied based in past interactions. Questions that we received here today that we don't have answered that we're already putting in there. So of course, this can elucidate more questions from other institutions. And if you have additional questions, you can also reach us through email. So here you can have the direct access to the website, but you can also reach us through the commons@unprime.org or info@unprime.org. This is our internal info@unprime.org as a channel where you can bring your questions that you may have during this process. We'll be really happy to reply case by case. And this will also support us and to populate the Q&A session that we have on SIP 2.0 website and to clarify questions that other people may have. Okay, everyone. I think we covered all the questions on the chat and also on the Q&A. This recording will be available on the CIP 2.0 website, so feel free to rewatch and to share with your colleagues. Me and all the Secretariat team are available to support you and any questions that you may have. Important piece, and I will reinforce that again. I always say that this is a transition period, and we are aware that this is a cultural transformation through Prime. So we are here to support your community to pass through that. We will have continued webinars and communication with all of you through your chapter chairs or chapter meetings in different moments of interaction, etc. Feel free to connect with us, to ask for questions, and to make we want to make this as clear as possible to our signatories and as easy, as smooth as possible to our signatories. So please count on us on this process and reach us if you have any questions. Also, thanks for your participation and for all your questions and for the conversation today here. Remain available for anything that you may have. And thanks to our team that was also here supporting me, answering the questions and the interactions.